Anything to say?
Good morning. How are you today?
Tell you guys everything that you didn't see or may have not heard because it's a lot. I will say the most damning part of her testimony for me is when she describes a freak off where Diddy and another man, an escort, are standing on top of her while she is laying on the floor high off of ecstasy and they are urinating on her face to the point where she is choking on their pee. And to further give context, on the right hand side of the court seated is her husband Alex Fine. On the left hand side, Diddy's 6 out of 7 kids. We're sitting in the courtroom as Cassie is describing having weekly freak-offs for years that would last 2, 3, one lasted up to 4 days. She talked about damaging hotel rooms so bad in one instance that they had to pay such a hefty fee because the hotel told them that they needed to completely redecorate the room after a freak off. After a freak off, there would be blood, urine, and lots of baby oil. There was so much baby oil. There was also so much baby oil talk to the point where the judge at one point told prosecutors, wrap it up. But before we even got there, a very pregnant Cassie was called to the stand. She was wearing a tight brown turtleneck dress that was hugging her baby bump. When she sat down, you could tell she was nervous. And if you couldn't, you quickly picked up on it because once she started talking, you noticed that she paused a lot. She would sigh heavily before she answered a question. One of those moments was when she explained to the court that a year into their relationship, that Diddy had approached her with this fantasy that he had. He called it voyeurism, where he wanted to see her have sex with another man, later referred to as freak-offs. She said her stomach dropped. She was 22 years old. She described herself as very naive and a people pleaser. She said the only reason that she agreed to it is because she knew it would make him happy and she was afraid what would happen if she said no. That's also around the time, she says, that he started to get abusive. Most of her testimony today was spent on talking about these freak-offs, the different escorts that they would use, the different hotels that they would use. She said that she would find escorts off of Craigslist and this escort service called Cowboys for Angels. And to describe them, they weren't the most attractive men, right? They were very average looking. Some of them weren't even conventionally attractive. One thing they had in common is most of them were black because Diddy preferred for her black men with a big D, she said. At one point, Cassie broke down in tears when the prosecutor asked her, why didn't you leave? That the freak-offs, as you expect, she was very deeply in love. And this was the only alone time that she could get with Diddy. And it got to a point where this was kind of the only emotional connection that she was getting from this man that she was dating. So much more that I'll cover in another video, including his incessant phone calls, him tracking her down with his security, and her never being able to escape him.
Sean Combs' eyes appeared to follow her to the witness stand, but she does not appear to be looking at him at all. And she picked up in her testimony right where she left off, telling the jury about times she's been injured during freak-offs, how they would leave her with infections and sores in her mouth. And yet still she was made to participate in these things. And she talked about how painful it was and how unpleasant. And then she talked about participating under the threat of violence and how often was Sean Combs physical with you, she was asked. And she kind of shook her head, let out a deep sigh, and said, who knows, as if there were too many times to count. There are fewer members of Combs' family inside listening to all of this. His daughters, notably absent, they had to stand up and walk out at points when the testimony became too graphic.
And Cassie Ventura, she is one of Combs' many accusers, testifying as a central witness.
Is she ready?
Very ready and confident. Thank you.
Among other things, the singer is expected to address the 2016 video of Combs attacking her in a hotel when she was his girlfriend.
They called him a music mogul, a kingmaker, the ultimate success story in hip-hop. But yesterday, as Cassie Ventura took the stand in court, that carefully crafted image crumbled right before our eyes. Diddy's face turned pale as his ex-girlfriend detailed incidents so disturbing that even the most seasoned courtroom reporters were left speechless. The man who once controlled an empire couldn't control his reactions as Cassie revealed everything, and we mean everything, about what allegedly happened behind closed doors.
When she walked in there, Rachel, she had on a brown dress, form-fitting, visibly pregnant,
head held high, and did not make any eye contact with the defendant, with Sean Combs. He said that Sean Combs directed everything from what she had on to the lighting in the room to how she was supposed to interact with the person that she was having sex with. And again, just to reiterate what is a freak off, the freak off essentially was something that Cassie said she learned about through Sean Combs about a year into their relationship. He described it as voyeurism, wanting to watch her have sex with someone else.
Testified today, the more disturbing allegations we learned. Hello, my fam. It is Perez, the queen of all media, the original influencer, and your #1 source for everything Diddy drama. Today was the first day that his ex-girlfriend of nearly a decade took the stand. She is the prosecution's star witness in his federal trial, where he is facing charges of racketeering, trafficking, and prostitution. She is going to be back later this week for more testimony, but what a way to begin things. I made several videos already. Watch those to be fully caught up, but warning. You may perhaps vomit. Okay, here we go. We left off at the freak-offs. Cassie reveals sometimes Sean and the escort would have intercourse with me, meaning he wasn't always just a voyeur watching and pleasuring himself. Sometimes he would actively participate. She says it was just like a lot happening at once. The prosecutor then asked, at what point would escorts ejaculate? To which she replied, usually when it was okay for them, per Sean. But usually when they did, usually they did it on me. And then what happens next? And then Sean and I would go in the next room and he would want me to put the semen on his body. As if all the baby oil wasn't enough. He needed the spooge. Cassie revealed that she was high on drugs at every freak off. Oftentimes, when she took things like ecstasy or MDMA, she felt sick almost every time, to the point where she was going to vomit. Or did. Even if she puked or was nauseous, she claims that Diddy would encourage me to get up and continue on with it. Quote, continue on with the intercourse even if I felt like I was vomiting, or if I was. She says that in arranging all of these things, they obviously had a travel agent that helped, and they would refer to the male escorts as new staff members so that no one speculated what was happening. Cassie testified repeatedly that she didn't want to do any of this. And Diddy, who held the power in their both personal relationship and business relationship as her boss, forced her to do all of this. Through violence, through blackmail, and through every possible way. Also, financially, withholding money and using that as a carrot and leverage. Cassie reveals that she would find escorts on Craigslist and Backpage, and she would have to run every guy by him. Quote, I'd usually show them to Sean and see if that person was of interest for a freak-off. I definitely had to show him. Eventually, she started using an escort agency. All of the images shown in court of the escorts were Black or Latino men. He was not interested in white guys. Oh, wow. And Cassie says that ecstasy was not the only substance they took at these freak-offs. She says that, the keta, the K, the G to the H to the B, sometimes mushrooms, whatever was the drug of choice at that point. Cassie said that every freak-off would go according to the same schedule. The parties kicked off with a mandatory discussion of each other's nude bodies. This led to oral, the use of baby oil, and then more explicit events. Cassie said it was awkward and pretty humiliating to talk to Diddy about an escort's penis, but he expected it. Cassie reveals that Diddy's staff would not only provide the lube, the baby oil, linens, any supplies needed, but that they would also give her the drugs. Why has nobody else but him been charged yet? One of the interesting things about her testimony today is Cassie telling the jury that the freak-offs would happen in multiple states and that some of the same male escorts would be there with them in multiple states. That is why this is a federal trial. Cassie says that Diddy began recording the freak-offs pretty early on in the first year. She testified that at first they were recorded on a video camera. Later, they were recorded on both his and her electronic devices. She says she would later delete the videos on her devices when she saw them because they were humiliating and disgusting. She says that she frequently asked Combs to delete the videos he had as well, particularly because his staff members had access to his devices. I never wanted anyone to ever see me like that, she said. Cassie then explained what happened that infamous day in Los Angeles where we have seen the hotel security camera footage of him beating her. She told the jury, there's an instance in Los Angeles where it got violent and I chose to leave. There was a lot of drinking, a lot of partying. I'm not sure what happened, but in the middle of it, I got hit by Sean and got a black eye. When I chose to leave, I grabbed what I could and got out, and Sean followed me into the hallway by the elevators, grabbed me, tried to drag me back to the room. Jurors have already seen the security camera footage multiple times, and it was shown again today. Cassie said she made it to the elevators when the next thing I knew, I was just thrown to the ground. After viewing the hotel security camera footage, the prosecutor asked Cassie how many other times Combs had beat her in that way. Too many to count. I don't know, she responded. The prosecutor then asked, are there occasions when you tried to fight back when Sean hit you? Cassie said, no. Very interesting to see if they come up with receipts of times when she did hit him. Remember, I told you last week that his defense is going to argue that it was a mutually violent relationship. Cassie also revealed that because the freak-offs lasted for days and he liked filming them, they would often then re-watch what had just been filmed and have intercourse while watching themselves, having had intercourse. Very meta. Even more text messages were presented where Cassie said she did not want to participate in the freak-offs, especially because when the incident in Los Angeles happened that we saw in the hotel footage, that week she had a movie premiere for a film that she was in. She was afraid that the freak-off would mess her up before the event, but she testified that she worried that Diddy would just make it miserable for me if she didn't comply. The prosecution told the judge that they are expected to be done with Cassie tomorrow, at which point the defense can begin their cross-examination. The judge advised the jurors to turn off notifications from news organizations on their phones to ensure they don't see anything about the case. Yeah, good luck with that. And this is the final video for today. I will be back tomorrow with more. Until then, we ended with a bang. Let's discuss all that we've learned in this video, you know where, in the comments.
She would start gooning, and then the guy would start gooning. And as she was gooning to herself, she would describe the guy gooning to Diddy. So Diddy would be in a corner, watching them both goon, and she would describe the guy gooning, okay, which was a little bit strange, and she admitted that this felt weird to her, but she did it because she loved Diddy, and she felt humiliated. Then they would start putting oil on each other and touching each other. They would do this until Diddy said, stop, or you guys can start moving on. Then that led to oral sex for both of them, and then they would go on to full-on sex. After they have sex, the escort either finishes in her or on her, and he doesn't wear a condom. Then Diddy and Cassie go into the room, and she would take the semen and put it on his chest.
But yes, I'm finna give it to you anyway. Come on. So I purposely set out and was waiting for this whole Diddy trial to take place and everything like that before I give you my 2 cents on what I've been telling y'all since last year. Okay? Now, baby, we here. Diddy has been in jail for only a few months. And look at your boy. He looked like he done already served 30 to life. This is what happens when you don't have, all your necessities that you had on outside, bruh. He looked like he been in there for 30 years already. And it's only been a couple months. Diddy, come on now. So we are off and on the way with this trial, right? So they are in day 3 of this trial, and the stuff that has already came out and the stuff that Diddy is talking about, now all of a sudden he want to play the victim, talking about Cassie allegedly was, beating on him and he was using self-defense. Like, sir, make it make sense. And then today we had the, male escort that had testified and said that, Diddy was making him do some things, a little strange, okay, to him, Cassie, all that. Like, bruh, like, what is going on? How can you literally sit there, right, and have all these people say all this stuff about you and you really think that you're innocent? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And on another note, somebody come look at this. Come look at this. They are pulling out all the stops for his trial. Like, Misa, where did you get a walker from? Why do you need the walker? Because when you was walking, baby, you was walking faster than that walker could ever keep up with you. Like, what are we doing? Diddy said, I don't care what y'all doing. Y'all need to get here by bike, train, walker, wheelchair, all that. Crutches, all that, okay? Misa then pulled out the whole walker to come to court. That's not finna help his case, Misa. It's not finna help his case, baby. Unless he did it to you. Then that's a whole other story. That's the whole other story, okay? I'm not saying he did, but hey, he could have. I don't know. All I know is this is the trial of the decade, okay? This might be up here with OJ. Might be up there with OJ. R. Kelly trial wasn't even this intense. This is intense, okay? And I'm here for it. I want Diddy to get everything that's coming for him, okay? And we're all going to sit here and watch.